I heard that sound. It's not the sound I wanted to hear. I can still hear it in my head. It meant my brother Ray was dead. A few minutes later, I walked out of the room, and standing from the door all the way down to the exit was a long line of people. They were all staring at me. I can still see their faces. It was like I was in slow motion. I didn't know what it meant. And then it dawned on me. When I was a little boy, I used to sit in my mom's car. I'd be in the passenger seat. I'd be holding the spoon with my left hand, staring out of the window to my right. My big brother Ray, he'd be in the driver's seat. He'd have a black belt tied around his arm, clenching it down with his teeth. He'd have a match or a lighter underneath the spoon I was holding. He was preparing the heroin. If I close my eyes, I can still see the blackened spoon from all the use. If I close my eyes, I can still see the brown leather pouch that held the needle and the spoon. I was just a little kid. When my brother Ray was done shooting up, I'd hand him back the spoon and go out and play. I thought this was normal. I thought every kid I grew up with did that. But as the years went by, I realized it wasn't normal. I'm the younger brother of two heroin addicts, Ray and Frank. I don't know what they were thinking to do that stuff around me, but they did. I don't think they realized that decades later, the pain, the memories, the heroin stories would still be with their little brother, and they would both be dead. I was raised by a single mom. We were poor, Chula Vista, California. My dad died when I was 5. I don't remember him. I often wonder what it would have been like if my dad was around. The memories I have about growing up are different from my sister's. For some reason, my brothers didn't do it in front of my sisters. They just did it in front of me. I don't know if it was to toughen me up, or the sign of the times, or if I was their little mascot. But my sisters didn't see what I saw, and I'm glad. If I was able to go into a time machine, I'd go back to when my brothers were young teenagers, and I'd sit with them and I'd say, listen, here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen to our family if you use heroin. But I can't do that. So I have to deal with my reality. And my reality is that they're both gone. When Ray and Frank were big time into their addiction, remember, we were poor. They didn't have a job. So their entire day was waking up and needing $20. They both needed $20 to feel okay, to use heroin, to be able to go out. So it was very normal that things around the house would be missing. The television, the stereo would end up in the local pawn shop. I can kind of laugh today as I think back to Saturday mornings, waking up, going to the living room to watch cartoons, and the TV would be gone. But I knew where it went, and I knew why. One time, it was different. My brother Ray, he sold the American flag my mom received at my dad's funeral. I was about 10 years old. I'm in my bedroom playing. I knew what happened. I could hear in the living room them arguing. I could hear the sadness in my mom's voice. I can hear Ray yell at my mom, and he didn't need to yell at my mom, but he did. I could hear my mom crying. Then I get mad. Then I get out of my room, run to the living room, and I kick my brother Ray out. Leave mom alone, get out. And he left. And I could see my mom in the corner of the living room, hunched down, like she gave up. So I helped her up and put her on the living room sofa, turned on the television so she can watch TV and to rest. What I did, when Ray was gone, I got a rope out of the garage and tied the sliding door up so my brother couldn't get in. I went in the kitchen, got a chair, and placed it right there in front of the sliding door, and I stood guard with a big knife. And I didn't want Ray to come back. About an hour later, Ray appears. I see him in the backyard. My heart starts pumping. My adrenaline flows. I'm holding the knife. My mom's sleeping. Ray ain't coming in. And I'm staring down my big brother, who I love. I can still see his face through the sliding door. I'm 10 years old. Miraculously, my mom wakes up and sees this. She wakes up, gets up, goes to the door, and lets Ray in and hugs him and hugs me. She never stopped loving Ray and Frank. But I remember staring up at my brother Ray. And he's looking down at me, shaking his head, but smiling. He was proud of me for doing that. Years would go by, decades would go by, Ray and Frank using. I loved them, hated them, loved them, hated them, loved them, hated them, loved them, hated them, and I'm standing here today missing them. But something happened. December 5th, 1997. Frank dies. I miss my brother Frank. But Ray felt responsible. Ray felt guilty. I grew up thinking, you can't kick heroin. I grew up thinking that was the drug you just can't kick. With other drugs, you have a monkey on your back. With heroin, you got Godzilla on your back. But because Frank died, Ray got clean. Ray kicked heroin. Although I lost Frank, I had Ray back. And for many years, Ray lived right. He had a job. Good to my mom. Instead of waking up and getting $20 a day, Ray would wake up and go to AA and NA meetings. AA and NA saved Ray's life. He went to meetings morning, afternoon, night. I had Ray back. He was a good uncle to my kids. And then something would happen. March 18th, 2004, I get a phone call. Ray's in the hospital. I go to the hospital. Regardless of Ray living 7 years clean, lifelong heroin use got to his liver, and he's there on the bed. There's a circle of family all around him. And I walk in, and I hold him. I put my head on his heart, tell him, please don't go, fight. And I remember staring at that monitor. I didn't want to hear that sound. I didn't want to look up and see that line. Telling Ray to hold on. There was a moment of silence. And then I hear that sound. See that straight line? My brother Ray was gone. We all say goodbye to Ray. I'm thinking only the good stuff. Racing from telephone pole to telephone pole, throwing the football with me. That's what was going through my head. I kissed Ray goodbye. And then when I walk out of the room, there's a long line of people standing from the door all the way down to the exit. 100 people. They were young, they were old, they were white, they were brown, they were black. There's a kid named Bobby, 18 years old. There's a woman named Alma that I grew up with. It was Connie. They were there because they believed in Ray, and Ray believed in them. They were there because they had family that turned their backs on them, but Ray didn't turn his back on them. They were there because they were addicted to drugs. Bobby was addicted to heroin, and Ray got them off heroin and drugs. They were there because they loved Ray, and Ray loved them. It was beautiful. I was proud of my brother Ray. Ray taught me something that night. Listen, you can create miracles just by believing in people. What I saw after my brother died, I need you to know. I believe in you. Through your life, you may have made bad choices. We all have. You may have let people down. We all have. You may have family that you hurt that has turned their backs on you. You can prove them wrong. I was proven wrong. If you have guilt in your heart and in your soul, you can take that guilt and make miracles happen. You can change for the better. You can create miracles by believing in people, believing in each other, believing in yourself. I look around and I see that you are the miracle. Just like Ray and Frank. Thank you.